Hi, everyone. Mary Jo Burkhardt here. And I thought I would just pop in and talk a little bit about an invitation to rest, an invitation to find a way or space or techniques or modalities that help us to rest in the energy that we're experiencing right now, which many will describe as being a bit choppy, a bit chaotic, a bit over the top at times. So, in the midst of that, how do we find space to rest? And I thought I'd start with this painting that I did some years ago called Invitation to Rest. And Invitation to Rest really is a bench in a space. There's a path in front of it, open an open meadow or park behind it, and it gives us the idea that we come to rest by being still and letting life go past us. And I'm going to hit and stop share and just continue without that image, because I think while I used to think that rest was quite a bit about getting enough sleep or perhaps taking some naps or doing just what I said in that picture, which was sitting on a bench and just allowing life to move past. I think there's more to rest than that. And I just wanted to share a couple of examples of some areas that might be relevant for us to consider as ways of resting in the energy that we're in right now. So the first one I'm going to talk about is really the resting from things that are no longer for us. Resting from things where we no longer quite fit into anymore, and how do we leave those? And so this is an example from a number of years ago, and I was part of an organization. And being in this organization, I took on a role that you might call a bit of a leadership role. And in this role, it put me into contact with several other key people in the organization on a regular basis. And one of these people, we were like oil and water. We had really different styles. It really had some challenging conversations in that process. And this wasn't a work-related organization, so it was something I volunteered to be in, and I volunteered to be in the role. And what I began to find was that as I would talk to this person, I literally would have very physical manifestations and signs as I was talking to them. My heart rate would be really rapid. I would notice that I was shaking a bit. I would notice that I would get sweaty or hot or get cold and clammy, and that my gut was just roiling anytime I needed to talk to this person. And I realized I just needed to leave, even though I had set to stay on this for a couple of year trajectory, that this was not going to be a healthy situation for me. And my body couldn't rest in this organization. I couldn't just go with the flow. I couldn't feel like I quite fit in because of these interactions that I was having. And so I ended out. I ended well. I transitioned well. I made sure the pieces didn't fall apart as I left the role that I was in. But I left and I offered my body the chance to rest from being in that which really didn't fit and to find something else that it would fit into better at some point. So first example is, are there things in our lives that maybe we need to let go of, or some things that maybe we need to change the amount of time and effort that we're putting into them so that we can put some time and effort into something else? We can't do all things. Sometimes we try, poster child here. But how do we let those ones that no longer really fit us, how do we let them go? How do we just rest from that constant treadmill of doing and being part of something that maybe quite doesn't fit? The second example of rest is, how do we rest by perhaps creating? How do we rest and give part of us a rest by allowing something else, the right side of our brain, our imagination, our third eye, our creativity, something else that's in us to come up and have some time that can play to do something that's a little fun or engaging within that. So I've got a painting behind me. The painting that I showed at the beginning of this, that's one of the ways that I will rest from doing one thing by just allowing that other side of me that sometimes seems to have to stay under wraps during parts of the day or the week because I do have a schedule. I have a calendar, things need to happen. So how can I just allow myself to create, to play, to open up? And if painting isn't your gig, maybe it's writing, or maybe it's gardening, or maybe it's cooking, or you name it. But where is it that you could find some way to create something, to play in a way that allows the left side of our brain to just take a rest? It can go off and just relax at this time. And the right side, the imagination side, the creativity side, hey, it gets a chance to come on out, and this side can just relax a little bit as we're in that. On the third example of rest I wanted to bring up is how do we rest from being too still, right? How do we rest from that? We're focused on something, we're really attuned to it. Maybe we've been sitting crunched over a computer or sitting crunched over anything, or we've been out gardening and we're crunched, right? We are just crunched and our body has been in still and it feels like it needs to move. And so what kind of movement works from you? Allowing your body to move out of that stillness, that forced stillness where we are just keeping it quiet and immobile versus the stillness that might come, for example, with a yoga move or a meditation. This would, though, be the opposite. How is it that we can move our body, get the things moving, get things feeling lubricated, get things feeling like they can open up and our joints are moving and our body is able to move? We can move quickly and express ourselves. So, giving ourselves that permission that we can rest from this kind of, I got to focus in and do this. I am one of those hyper focusers. So when I am on a project, I might be like this and I will suddenly realize 30, 40 minutes in or 2 hours in, I literally probably haven't moved except maybe for blinking or typing or writing that entire time. So how is it that we can begin to move? I like to go for walks. Sometimes I just see how fast I can go on those walks, but I also like to do Tai Chi and Qigong. And those are also things that really help me out in movement. So allowing myself to rest from that, oh, I had to be still, to nope, I can go do something and allow that in. So those are just a couple of ideas and some things to think about. I hope you're taking care of yourselves in this energy, and I hope to see you soon. Take care.